What's up, NFL fans? Here for another Under Center. This one, the quarterback carousel is in full effect for 14, especially after week 11. A lot of things have become crystallized or just reaffirmed what we already knew to be true. In a lot of cases, that's true, but definitely some new questions have arose and some situations that seem murky, possibly could have settled down, have become just untenable, and I think they need to be put to an end. When you add or draft a quarterback, or you're looking to change your quarterback, and you have an old regime like a throw whoever out there, Minnesota, and if they've already drafted a quarterback, you're not going to allow, and they failed with said quarterback, you're not going to allow them to do it again. In this instance, they have completely just made a mess of the entire situation, the entire position. They have one quarterback too many. Entering Josh Freeman into the equation was it's been a complete disaster. He's been a $2 million cheerleader, had a disastrous game against the Giants on a Sunday night, and Christian Ponder seems to be a mess. Yanking him again yesterday. Minnesota fans have to be beside themselves. They probably want to see Spielman out and Frazier out. They've shown an inability to get the ball in the hands of playmakers. They've shown an inability to develop a quarterback, and you can't allow them to go out and do it again. And that'll be a reoccurring theme here. If you fail once, you can't be allowed to do it again. You just can't. It's written in NFL scripture lore. Fail on said quarterback that you've gone up to get, you get no more chances. That's it. That's the guy you said was going to take us somewhere. You didn't do it. You removed him multiple times from the lineup. It's just a bad situation. Let's enter another bad situation. Houston Texans. Gary Kubiak, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like a very big move outside of Houston, but I feel like he truly 100% fired himself yesterday from the box, like almost, I don't say cowardly, but just reinserting his guy back into the lineup. Just to, and he came out today and said, oh, I felt like we wanted to protect the young quarterback, and Matt would have been better capable of getting things done that I wanted to do or do things that I wanted to get done. What did he do? It totally ripped that team apart, and those fans went ballistic when he came back onto the field. They literally turned against their team, well, say him, when he came back onto the field. It was a nightmare of epic proportions. I'm not saying Case Keenum played great, but that so-called, and the defense is down some guys, but getting lit up by Matt McGloin, I mean, there's got to be some accountability on Wade Phillips' part for that. And just to yank that quarterback after he's truly sparked the team, you could just tell it did not resonate well with the team because of the confrontation with Andre Johnson, and it stemmed from an earlier play where Andre was deep, and Schaub just didn't look his way, where he had been lighting it up, putting up, you know, some good numbers that he hadn't in a while with Schaub at quarterback, but with Keenum, he seemed resurrected, and at the end it just came to a head. He walked off the field. You have a situation like that, and if you follow football like I do, and I follow all teams, even though I'm a Bills fan, Andre Johnson doesn't say much. He really doesn't. And for that to happen, it speaks volumes. And I think that that situation now, you can't allow GM there or Kubiak to draft or coach or develop that quarterback. They need to clean house down there in Houston, in my opinion. I'm interested to see and read Texans fans' opinion on that. On to the next team that has an interesting quarterback situation, or definitely quarterback questions, is the Tennessee Titans. Do they pick up a $15 million option on a quarterback that's been injured 3 out of all 3 years he's been in the league? Can't allow Ryan Fitzpatrick to go into 14 as your starter. Trust me. Aforementioned, I'm a Bills fan. You don't want that to happen. And then the other question arises: do you allow Munchak, that staff, to go forward with the new quarterback, and do you let the GM draft the quarterback? I personally think Loggins was doing a really good job with Locker. He really looked like he turned a corner before he got hurt in that Jets game. It's a really unfortunate situation for him because I really think that he looked better. He looked smarter. He was making better decisions. He was using use of his legs, and just getting hurt twice, and just all the time he's been hurt. To invest that money in him, I don't know what they do. Tennessee Titans fans, let me know what you think. On to the next team that definitely has a quarterback issue going forward. It might not be a bad one. The Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears winning games with Josh McCown. Jay Cutler, contract coming up. Probably going to want some big money. He's getting older. He's not terribly old, not terribly young, but injuries starting to creep up a little bit. Trestman, new coach, considered a quarterback slash offensive mind, and he's been putting McCown career backup in some good positions, and McCown's been playing well. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Ermy, he fired a coach that went 6-10. What's to preclude him from getting as head coach and saying, hey, what would happen if you got your own guy in here and develop your own quarterback? How would you feel about that? That's an interesting question, and it may be one a lot of Bears fans are torn on. Maybe they want to keep Cutler because of the arm strength and all the crazy weather as we saw yesterday. That was nuts in Chicago. Or they're like, hey, look what this guy's doing with McCown and what's considered the richest quarterback draft ever. 7 quarterbacks predicted to go. I mean, depending on where you look, 7 quarterbacks predicted to go in the first round. And you see a day like yesterday and some games and some days like we've had during this NFL season, we got 5-6 weeks left to go. You wonder how certain guys like Blaine Gabbert, Christian Ponder, etc. get taken in the first round. That's how. Teams go get quarterbacks. When they need a quarterback, they go get them. And sometimes they reach, sometimes they're more prudent and stay home and get their guy. But those are teams definitely with quarterback issues. The next team that won yesterday, but I'm sure these Oakland Raider fans have to be just, I mean, come on. They've endured a lot of crap quarterback play, a lot of crappy coaching, GM decisions. The biggest question there is if there's, say, McGloin, Pryor, maybe the camps are split there amongst Raider fans, how do you let Reggie McKenzie pick the quarterback? And I know Reggie inherited a big mess, but he did sign Matt Flynn and then released him. He did draft Tyler Wilson and then cut him. I mean, he's on the practice squad. He's back on the active roster now. But and Terrell Pryor, I think he's played well. I think if they go forward, get some better offensive line play. I think they need to cut the cord with McFadden. He just can't stay healthy, and running backs now are a dime a dozen. You just don't go out and pay him a bunch of money. Get some better receivers in there. Get a little bit better offensive line. And I think maybe you could build with one of those 2 guys, but maybe Raider fans are like, look, let's get one of these headline guys and let's go. And I could definitely understand where they're coming from that standpoint. I really do, because it's debilitating when you watch all this turnover at the quarterback position. It really is. Next team that I'm thinking that might need a quarterback, they're kind of in a weird spot right now, is Tampa Bay. Mike Glennon is playing well, and do they keep Schiano now? I mean, he's not even through his second year. There's been a lot of issues there. Maybe the ownership says, hey, this guy Freeman was as big a headache as everybody let on. We showed progress at the end of the year, playing with Seattle, winning some games. Let's try this another year with a clean slate, less drama in the locker room. Or maybe Tampa Bay fans are like, look, we got to go pounce on one of these quarterbacks and get Schiano out of here. I'm sure there's Tampa Bay fans that believe one or the other, and I'm curious to hear where they think. And not going to talk about the obvious teams like Cleveland. They definitely need to add a quarterback, and I'm sure, like the teams I mentioned, just in dire straits when adding a quarterback. Maybe even keep Hoyer there as a guy you might want to see start. and the guy develop, or the Cleveland fans are like, hey, I want to see this guy just get in there right away. Anybody but Brandon Weeden. Bad joke. But Jacksonville, obviously, drafting a quarterback. Um, and maybe there's other teams out there, but the quarterback carousel is in full effect, and a lot of things, like I said, did crystallize yesterday. It's going to be a hell of an offseason for quarterbacks. It's going to be interesting if the Bears re-sign Cutler, and if not, where he goes, what kind of deal he gets. I don't think he's going to get the money he thinks he's going to get, a la a Flacco, uh, Matt Ryan type deal. Who drafts who? There's a lot of big ticket players in this draft. There's Mariota probably coming out, Bridgewater definitely coming out, but Manziel is going to be a hell of a draw. He really is. There's going to be so much, and he does have that little bit of flair. I'm not going to lie. He has that little bit of it factor to him. He's an undersized guy, but he's got that little bit of sizzle to him, or maybe even a lot of it. And a fan base is going to gravitate towards that like stink on shit. You know it. And a team is going to look at that, like I've stated in prior videos about the quarterbacks coming up in the 14 draft. Potentially, like an Aaron Murray, a guy. I mean, Georgia's lost some games this year, but competitive as hell. Maybe not the biggest quarterback, but he plays hard. I mean, that guy plays balls out every game and is a fierce competitor. And you could tell he's a leader on that team and in that huddle. So he's going to be a guy that somebody's going to go get. There's a lot of interesting guys, and I'm just curious to see what quarterback you'd like to see your team get, and maybe you're content with the situation and want to see a guy like Keenum get a real opportunity under a new staff, or a guy like McGloin or Pryor get a real opportunity. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and opinions. I appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, commenting, whether it be positive or negative. I appreciate it. You have a good rest of the week.